Hey guys, Insomnia back with some more AFK Arena. Today we're back looking at the hero typing. Beyond the factions, heroes can be subclassed into distinct subsets. Really knowing the heroes, really knowing the skills. If you've seen any of the other hero typing videos, we have this one and then one more, and the hero typing is all done. This video is going to focus on the Pseudo Frontline heroes and the Pseudo Backline heroes. So what I mean by that is when you look at the positions, there's 5 positions that a hero can actually be, which looking here, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 position. 1 and 2 respectively are usually set aside for tanks in tank specific classes. There are a lot of situations and a lot of campaign stages where other heroes will fill the role, or other heroes do fill the role very, very well, even though they are not an actual frontline tank. Pseudo formation can survive on the front line, and that's where the frontline formation, they're not tanks. That's the one thing that I want to stress. They are not the tanking class, but frontline heroes can be heavily punished with compositions that focus on formation altering principles. If you remember the formation altering, any hero that actually alters their formation, like your Athalia, Iran, Nara, whatever side a Pseudo Frontline hero is on, that side of the backline will be vulnerable. So if you place a frontline hero in position 1, the result is that a hero on position 3 will be more vulnerable, just for the fact that if they can get through that hero that you're placing in position 1, the backline is going to be more vulnerable. This has been tested and true, especially with my Wilder team, because if you remember, Lorzen was in spot 3, which was the very top. Again, looking at that, so we actually we'll leave Belinda up here. So actually using Belinda up to spot 3, making sure that anyone that you have that's tanking here in spot 1, making sure, because if that hero goes down, spot 3 is where the mechanics of the game will actually go. Spot 3, once 3 goes down, 4 will go down, and the heroes will just absolutely dominate your back line. So some of the pseudo heroes that we want to look at, and I believe I do have most of them, because this is the way that I was kind of thinking. Zolrath, definitely a backline hero, but can definitely function as a frontline pseudo hero. Mahira, she is a crowd control, just absolute queen, but pseudo frontline, spot 1 or 2, any of these heroes can go 1 and 2, depending on the team comp that you're dealing with. One of my favorites is using Rosline. I actually use Rosline in this spot, and I actually swap Belinda up to 3. Rosline actually goes right back to Belinda, and they follow each other around in the back line, leaving that slot number 1 just completely open, which is okay. Next hero we look at is Tassie. Tassie does have the teleportation ability, so when she starts taking damage in the front, she'll teleport, giving her the ability to mitigate her damage because she actually goes to another place on the field. But Tassie does leave the position 3 very, very open. One of my favorites, if you've seen my videos that I use for a lot of the combinations, is Rowan. I put Rowan up front with Lucius. He does very, very well, especially if he's taking high burst damage, because he is able to mitigate the damage with the energy that he has. Some of the other team comps that they've used, or some of the other heroes, which I'm not sure I have a copy of, which is Titus. Titus has been used in the front. A lot of different videos or a lot of different formations. I use K-Sauce in the front. Titus will actually push the hero right in the front back. K-Sauce is able to hold the line, because when heroes are face-to-face with him, he gets a buff to his defense. When he's further away, he gets a buff to his attack. So face-to-face, he is a very, very solid frontline hero. One of the biggest that a lot of people use is Shamira. Especially getting her up a little bit higher. Shamira's ability to tank is absolutely devastating to most teams, just because of her ability to life leech or soul leech. Her ability to regenerate hit points on her own with her ult, with some of her abilities, makes her ideal, and she does have a considerable amount of hit points. She's very difficult to deal with as a frontline. And as you've seen in the Wilder team, I do use Leica. Leica, for the fact that she has a ton of dodge. You could also do either Falks, you can use Kaz, or you can use Pharrell. 3 kind of pseudo frontline heroes just because of their ability to dodge. And again, this these formations are kind of dependent on who you're fighting. Where a hero like Leica, a hero like Kaz is not going to fend very well versus Brutus, because when he does a shout, he's going to nullify the dodge component of the ability and just absolutely decimate your dodging ability. So those are very, very pseudo frontline heroes that can go on the front line for a lot of campaign stages, a lot of different ways that you can use them in the front line. So let's switch a little back and look at the back line. So if we have a solid front line, and we'll put in 2 solid tanks here, the backline heroes are typically found in the front line. So when we have Lucius, when we have Hendrik, these are very, very typical frontline tanks. These are what most people use. The use of the backline heroes can be used to provide safety from the own backline and can reduce the vulnerability of scaling heroes. Scaling heroes are one of the most difficult to deal with. These are heroes that once you get 30 seconds or even a minute into the battle, they just absolutely can decimate the battlefield because of the ability to scale over time. Like your Talene is a hero that scales absolutely huge. So if you take her down once, twice, 3 times throughout the battle, she's getting 20, 40, 60% more attack, which just absolutely makes it devastating. So protecting the back line is very, very vital, depending, again, on the formation that you're going against. These heroes can be used in the back line. Typically, they're mainly used in the front line. So some of the actual backline heroes, which I've used quite a few of them, again, depending on the team that you're fighting. First one is Aziz. He is mainly a frontline hero because he is a tank, but with his energy regeneration and his ability to completely lock out ultimate abilities, sometimes you do use him in the back, sometimes you do switch formations. There's a lot of campaign stages where he is vital to winning the stage, but not as a tank, because there is so much burst or so much damage over time, you don't have the ability to actually take down the heroes. He's very, very good against the heroes that actually build over time, which is sorry, I'm drawing a blank right here. But the scaling heroes, excuse me. A couple other ones, of course, which is Almas. Almas is a very, very great tank. Very, very strong in the back line. Using him in the back line, he will actually step up and tank, but you're getting the ability to use his roots. And that's the big thing, is if you have enemies formation altering or scaling that are actually coming to your back line, when the enemies are around him or when he attacks them, he actually has the ability to root, which makes it very, very hard for the enemy to actually get anywhere. For the Graveborns, we do use Thorin in the back line, just because of the abilities that he has. And when he goes down, he actually gets right back up. You actually have to kill this hero twice. But the ability for him to not only absorb damage with his ult, but the ability to take one solid, huge scaling burst hit and still be around in the campaign is very, very strong, as well as Grezel. Grezel is a hero that's going to pull up and summon minions every 9 seconds or 7.5 seconds, or summons 2 minions when he uses his ult. So using him in the back row is just nullifying the support of the other team by the use of minions. So actually mitigating the damage your team is taking because the other team is focusing on the minions that he's bringing up. Another hero we look at is Estrilda. A lot of people use Estrilda to buff the damage. So if your team's not performing with enough damage, her signature item and her abilities can actually buff the damage significantly in the team, as well as she has a charge ability and she does have a joust ability, which has a little stun factor in it. So very, very strong hero to use when you're looking at some of the backline heroes. Another one, of course, is Hendrik. Hendrik, for the fact that he has 2 abilities that are only used once per match, meaning that once he uses it, it's completely done. So if you have a backline hero that dies, he'll actually shield him. When he's about to die, he'll actually dig a shield in the ground and heal himself. So it makes a really, really big difference trying to get through the backline because he have the ability to protect heroes that are in the backline. 2 more quick heroes we look at, of course, which I'm not sure I do have a copy of Gorvo. Gorvo is very, very big in shielding and he's very, very big in stunning. So if you have a team that you're trying to CC, that you're really trying to lock down, he has different stuns and different shields, which makes him vital as kind of a CC aspect. even though traditionally spot 1 or 2 is where he lives, using him just for his stun ability versus his tanking ability is what some of the backline heroes are for. And the final one we look at that I've just actually started using on my account, which is Warwick. Warwick is traditionally a tank up front. He does have some survivability issues if you've seen any of the Mauler videos, but he does a ton of damage, an absolute truckload of damage. Once you get his Fury up to his little 3 Care Bears above him, once you get him completely maxed out, he can actually decimate an entire team by himself because it super boosts his life leech. One ability reduces the defense of the heroes and it boosts his attack. So making sure he dies relatively easy in stages, but if you can keep him up as a scaling hero, he can absolutely devastate some teams. So overall, some really, really different heroes and kind of different uses for heroes. Like I said, we have one more video for the hero typing. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you haven't tried any of these formations, please try them. And if you have, let me know of a couple more that work. Even currently with my Mauler team, I've been putting Sophia because she is so much on such a higher level up to actually tank, because where Warwick or some of the other tanks are not quite the ascended level, let's say I have them at Legendary Plus, I can actually put a hero such as her up front, or even a hero Falks I use a lot of times to tank, just for the fact that the sheer stats and the sheer defense makes them a viable hero for the front slot, depending on what you're facing. So, like I said, let me know what you guys think. These are the Pseudo Frontline and Backline Heroes. And as always, thank you guys for watching.